Okay, it's Chef Adam here from Travel Advisors of Los Gatos, and I got with me the owner, Ed, and also one of his lead hands, and Linda. Now, Ed, at the moment, I believe you've had a bit of a surge in interest in New Zealand. Is that right?
That is very true. I've been running the business now for 55 years, and I've been very fortunate myself and to be able to have visited New Zealand 4 times. And they're just so darn friendly down there. It's wonderful. But there's been quite a surge of traffic to New Zealand recently. Again, because it's presumed that it's a very safe area of the world to go. And we have Linda, of course, our important agent, and it's just nice having her there.
Actually, Linda, when we say important degrees, you're actually a Kiwi specialist. How did that come about? What's a Kiwi specialist?
A Kiwi specialist is one that really understands, knows the destination, has traveled throughout New Zealand extensively, and sells New Zealand from one's passion and love.
How many times have you been there now?
20.
20 times? My goodness me.
Yes.
I think more time than I've been there. Quite amazing. And why is it that now, out of Los Gatos, out of the greater San Francisco region, why is it that there is this surge of interest in New Zealand? Is it the airline? Is there, the airline service that's being offered?
The tremendous and wonderful airline service on Air New Zealand out of San Francisco has been a real asset for people, knowing it's easy to get to New Zealand. They fly out at night, wake up, and there they are in the morning in one of the most beautiful destinations in the world.
I've got to say, that flight is truly the start of the vacation. You board Air New Zealand's aircraft, and you're greeted by that wonderful Kiwi hospitality. You hear the accents. There's a certain surge of excitement. As you're taking off, of course, once in air at 40,000 feet, you're being served a little cocktail, and you've got a chance to sit back and watch a few movies. A lovely 3-course meal is served. No matter if it's economy or premium economy or business, they really look after you well. And of course, you're drinking a few little New Zealand wines. And I think for this region, when we think about San Francisco, the Los Gatos region, you're surrounded by vineyards, some great wine regions. It's just a natural. A lot of people are finding that they can head down. A lot of winemakers are heading down there because New Zealand's got some good products, some good food and wine product, don't they?
Most definitely. Brilliant. Their wines are brilliant. Their seafood, everything's so fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as a destination, it's this wonderful melting pot of activity as well. So great food, great wine, great festivals. It's also the culture. I think it all comes back a lot to the people of New Zealand themselves. You've got the wonderful Maori culture, the wonderful mix of people. 4.5 million people down there in New Zealand, and I've got to tell you, they really do extend themselves. The people who travel to New Zealand, because it's a 12-hour flight, when they get down to New Zealand, they're going to be greeted and well looked after. And I think that's why people are going back and more, and there's more flights. And of course, with regards to that flight, we didn't mention, but United has a co-chair agreement.
Yes,
is that right? How does that work?
United leaves at a similar time as the Air New Zealand flight. So that's really great for us because more people have access to getting to New Zealand now because it is a high demand destination. So instead of disappointing the client and saying, sorry, the flight's full, there is another option.
Fantastic. No, it's very good. That whole nature of lift is very important. And just so some of the themes of New Zealand for people travelling down, we've mentioned food and wine. We've just touched on culture, Maori culture, and the friendly nature of the Kiwi. What other aspects of New Zealand? You've got the adventure. There's some great adventure.
There's wonderful adventure. Hiking, it's a wonderful destination for families. It's a huge market for us because there is something for everyone in the family to experience their interests.
Yeah.
And also photographers
big time.
and painters. very, very big destination
Yeah.
for that as well.
And the honeymoon couple as well. I mean, honeymooners who are seeking something, some honeymooners sitting on a beach for 2 weeks is what they think of honeymoon should be all about. But New
Goodness.
Zealand offers a great opportunity to get out there, do some fun stuff together. I mean, when you get married, go on a honeymoon, it's all about doing dumb things together, just bungee jumping or jet boating or, rafting down rivers that take you through wonderful mystical rainforest and, I mean, underground caving and tubing and, and maybe even going to a place like Hobbiton. I mean, there's some really fun things you can actually put into an itinerary that keeps you active, and everything's very close. I mean, it's all within 20 minutes to an hour. You can do all these activities very close together. Now, today, we've actually brought in Linda. She's quite the passionate Kiwi specialist. She's got some great contacts down there in New Zealand, which ultimately is very important when it comes to customising a great itinerary. You need to be working with somebody who can actually pull all those elements together. And I believe, Linda, you've brought some of your mates in today.
Yes.
We're going to do it in 2 sessions. We're going to do it via route of the Thermal Explorer Highway, which is going to take us from outside of Auckland. We're going to head down through the central part of New Zealand. We're going to go through Hamilton, Rotorua, down to Tahoe, and we're going to get a chance to really experience and learn a bit about what that area has to offer. So we've got the man who actually set up the Hobbiton and the Hobbit, this wonderful attraction. You've been there yourself?
Oh, there's nothing like it. Hobbiton is magic. I mean, if a client said to me, just give me one highlight in the North Island, I don't have much time, just a few days out of Auckland, it would absolutely have to be a visit to Hobbiton. It's pure magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, from that magic, we're going to head down to a place which really was the birthplace of New Zealand's tourism magic, and that is Rotorua. Yes. I mean, seriously, that location now, and there's so much going on there. And we've got Oscar who's going to kind of lend his expertise, give us a great insight into what that's all about. So thanks, Ed and Linda. We're going to now break, and we're going to come back to our next session of the Thermal Explorer Highway.
Sounds good to me. I'm there.
It's a wonderful country.
Well, g'day and welcome back. We're now going to take you on a journey on the central North Island. And the first part of this journey is going to take place going down the Thermal Explorer Highway. Now, I've got with me a couple of lads who are from New Zealand. We've got some Kiwis in the audience. Oscar, where are you from, my friend?
Kia ora. I'm from Rotorua, New Zealand.
Rotorua, New Zealand. And we've got Russell. Russell, where are you, mate?
From Hobbiton, Matamata, New Zealand as well.
Hobbiton, my goodness me. Well, we're actually going to start the journey as if we were arriving into Auckland. And I might throw it across to you, Russell. If we were leaving from Auckland, where would this highway take us, this Thermal Explorer? Where would we go first?
Well, everything's very close in New Zealand. Every day I think it's a different journey and very easy. So if you're coming to us at Hobbiton, you can come direct, but often a lot of people go to an iconic attraction, Waitomo. That's where they have the glowworms. You can go caving, a wonderful stop on the way to Hobbiton before you end up in Oscar's territory at Rotorua.
Now, beautiful landscapes are a part of that North Island region. As you kind of travel through these rolling hills, it reminds you of parts of Scotland and Ireland. And I've got to say, where you live, my friend, it's just delightful. Now, you actually started off as a farmer, is that right?
Absolutely. We're sheep and beef farmers, so we've got a 1,250-acre rolling sheep farm, and so I'd like to think it's the landscapes and the sceneries that typify the best of New Zealand.
Now, tell me a bit more about Hobbiton, though, because that was, Peter Jackson, of course, who made these fantastic movies, Lord of the Rings and then the Hobbit series, the trilogy, rather. You managed to kind of strike up a deal with him and...
Absolutely. Well, the location scouts flew all over New Zealand looking for the best spots that could be idyllic and the best scenery they could get to find Hobbiton. And obviously, we were one of the things that they'd found. And we managed to do a deal with Warner Brothers or New Line Cinemas in America here, and they came and made the set for the Lord of the Rings. And then, obviously it was very successful if they wanted to come back and make the Hobbit. And we made the deal with Peter, or Sir Peter Jackson now, to make the set permanent. And we've turned it into this permanent tourist attraction.
When they go and visit Hobbiton, the actual journey, they actually visit Hobbit holes, and what sort of experience will they have?
We offer guided tours. So we've 44 Hobbit holes. We take people through. We do a little bit of storytelling, all of how it came about, a bit about the farming, what was made, and what we teach people. We give them an education of what's involved in making a major movie. So we'd like to think, and obviously the highlight of our experience is we go past the Hobbit holes, but then we end up at the Green Dragon pub And I think you may have been there.
I did. They had to kick me out quietly. They make a nice brew there at the Green Dragon.
Well,
Pub.
I was self-appointed in charge of the beer committee. It took me about a year to find the right brew.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can
yeah,
imagine.
so-
A lot of testing involved.
There was a lot of testing and
it's ongoing, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. I've got to check quality control every day.
I understand that. I mean, Oscar, I've heard that Rotorua is probably one of the most established tourism areas I'm saying in the world. I heard. I mean, it's one of the oldest established tourism areas in the world. Is that right?
Absolutely, Jeff. We've been hosting visitors now for over 150 years, and Rotorua first got on the map when the eruption of Mount Tahoe in 1886, and people used to traverse the world to come and visit what was then the Pink and White Terraces. And from that eruption has set the platform for the experience we share with the world today.
Yeah, and you do a good job. I've got to say, the opportunity that the geothermal activity that exists in that region is just amazing. But it's also this because of that geothermal activity, it's also for the Maori people. It was very much a place of life for the fact you could cook food and so just what's that whole experience like? Is there an opportunity to access and be a part of that Maori experience?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, the geothermal, the warmth attracted first and foremostly Māori to the region, and then over the last 150 years those very same Māori people have been sharing that experience with the world. So in Rotorua you can find a diverse variety of cultural experiences that people can dine, they can watch performances, they can talk, they can understand how food's cultivated. There's many experiences in Rotorua that we'll share with visitors from around the world, and that's what the city prides
I've got to
itself.
say, it's one of the most attractive parts about New Zealand for me, is the fact that it's a country which is so unified, and I mean the culture, the Maori culture, is taught in schools today, and therefore it's just a part of life. You've got lots of activity, lots of sporting adventures and activity right on your doorstep.
Yep.
I mean, some of those experiences, could you just relay?
Oh, we've got, basically, for us, living in the environment we do, we've got 18 lakes in the region, so we've got a lot of water activity that we undertake. Our forests, we've got beautiful redwood forests that we have a lot of hiking and biking through.
Actually, that redwood, a lot of that comes from up here, I believe. There's a real
Absolutely,
relationship.
California redwoods that were planted many years ago. So we take mountain biking really seriously as well. So the world's largest mountain biking festival, Crankworks, is actually held at Rotorua each March.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to come and to take in the healing waters.
Yep.
With all the geothermal activity there, it's not just about looking at the geothermal, it's about immersing yourself in it. We have beautiful therapeutic waters that people can bathe themselves in, and mud pools and such, and it's just a great place to come.
Yeah, it's an all-round wellness experience, you might say. No, it's definitely that. And I got to say that nature of adventure right on your doorstep, from rafting and kayaking and abseiling through rainforest. I mean, it's in itself, it's a destination. You really could really kind of account for at least a good 5 nights. Yep. Could be a part of the vacation. Yep. Of course, moving on from there, we're heading south, Lake Tahoe and that whole region as well.
Yep. Well, just south from us is Great Lake Tahoe, the result of a massive global eruption many years ago. Basically, it's about the size of Chicago, or in a country sense, Singapore. So massive lake. In New Zealand, you can't commercially buy trout, but Great Lake Tahoe is a fantastic place to catch trout, fresh trout, put it onto plate, take it to wherever you're staying. They'll know how to prepare it, and it's just a great part of that experience.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And then, I mean, in that region, I should also quickly just touch on the accommodation in terms of where you'll stay. And I know throughout that journey, there's everything from luxury 5-star all the way through to bed and breakfast. But again, the opportunity of staying in these properties is an opportunity to kind of get to know some Kiwis, get to know some locals. I mean, what would be some of your favourites? What would you?
Oh, I think Great Lake Tahoe is a fantastic place for adventure as well. So it's actually the Southern Hemisphere's biggest drop zone for skydiving. There's, as we said, there's a lot of places for people to do shared adventure activities. Hawke Falls is New Zealand's most visited natural attraction. That's because you have this massive lake, and there's one key outlet for that lake, so that the pure raw power that comes over that fall,
it surges through there,
is absolutely phenomenal, and a must see. And as you mentioned, there's lots of accommodation options right through the Thermal Explorer Highway route, and especially in Taupō, world renowned for Hooker Lodge, which
Yeah.
sits right on the shores of Lake Taupo.
Yeah, the actual, that lodge itself is probably one of the, I think, the forerunners in terms of luxury lodges. But then moving on from there, if you want to get out and take a little bit of hiking, people who are into adventure, going further on, where would we go?
You'd head down to the Volcanic Loop, which is just south of Great Lake Taupo, and you're heading around the beautiful Tongariro National Park region, and that is pristine outdoors. So basically think about wild, free outdoors, where you've got the likes of the Tongariro Alpine Crossing,
Yep.
and that is just the #1 hike for anyone that comes to New Zealand to do. Basically about 20 k's in total. Can be done over the course of a day, but you can also have guided walks with people as well,
Right.
and absolutely phenomenal, and people rave about it. And then in that environment, you've got the beautiful chateau that sits under the mountain, and that is just luxury.
Yeah, stunning.
Yeah.
So you can get out there and have that whole outdoor. It's like having the adventure with the silk sheets.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of New Zealand's about. You know, it's a chance to get out and immerse yourself in the environment. I mean, New Zealand itself, is like little pieces, the best pieces of the world, all brought together. And I think within that central North Island experience, you're going to find pretty well everything is all within a 20 minutes to an hour's drive.
I think that's the key to New Zealand, is everything is so close to proximity and so easy that 20 minutes, half an hour, you're on the water, you're up the mountain, you're doing activities. It doesn't matter where you go. So nothing's a big haul, nothing's a hassle.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to continue this journey next. We're going to take you on the Pacific Coast Highway, so stick around, we'll be back in a moment. Now, the continuation of the Thermal Explorer Highway is actually going to link us now into the Pacific Coast Highway. And we have with us Annie. Annie's going to take us on a little bit of a journey through the Pacific Coast Highway, but starting down in an area that you find very attractive, the Hawke's Bay region.
Yeah, it's close to my heart, the Hawke's Bay region. It's my hometown and very well known really for its food and wine. So we're very lucky to be a little like this part of the world. So we're kind of in Los Gatos, a little bit of San Francisco, Sonoma. That's kind of what we look like down there.
Nice. And as like a central focal point of that Hawke's Bay region would be the town of Napier. And Napier itself has got quite a history to it. I mean, there's a little bit of change happened there geographically. What transpired there with Napier?
Well, back in 1931, there was a pretty awful earthquake, which was a pretty nasty little blip on our radar in New Zealand. But what resulted in that was the rebuild of a city completely in the style of Art Deco.
My goodness.
So think South Beach, but it's on the coast of New Zealand, and it's an absolutely beautiful example of Art Deco architecture.
Now, Linda, you've been down there yourself and seen Napier?
Yes, I absolutely love it. I love it so much. I encourage every client I do a trip to New Zealand to put Napier in their itinerary. And what's so wonderful about Napier is the architecture, the Art Deco, the classic cars. You just have a feeling of going back in time.
Yeah.
It's amazing, amazing place. And also, the Hawke's Bay area being so close right there in proximity, the brilliant wines and the wineries nearby.
Yeah, now I got to say, a big part of a trip to New Zealand is actually the opportunity to celebrate these regions, and the Kiwis do it well. I mean, whether it's celebrating the town of Napier in reference to its Art Deco theme and the Art Deco Weekend, or the Food and Wine Festival, again celebrating that rich food and wine association the region has. Annie, what can you give us a bit of an insight into?
Well, we have Fork, the Food and Wine Classic, Hawke's Bay, so twice a year. I don't think you've been yet, Linda. We need to invite you.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to go there soon.
Good. So every November we run a 10-day festival, which is all about getting up close and personal with winemakers and chefs and local producers and growers, so that you get a very rich and deep experience around food and wine in our region.
Yeah, and the nature of that region also, as far as travelling. I mean, it's, as a drive destination, it's very safe and very friendly and
Very
easy.
safe, beautiful climate, so like here, and easy to get around. Not a lot of traffic. In New Zealand generally, there's not a lot of traffic, so it's
Absolutely.
great to drive.
Yeah. As far as the Art Deco, when's the actual Art Deco weekend?
Always the third weekend of February.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a must-do on any itinerary if you're there at that time.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Now, from this being the start, it's obviously also considered the start of the actual classic food and wine trail. But going north, as we would on our Pacific Coast journey, we then head up through Gisborne, which Gisborne's like the most easterlymost city.
It certainly is, which means it is the first place in the world to see the sun every single day.
Wow.
So something pretty special. Take the loved one, take the partner, and watch the sun come up on one of our sacred mountains, Mount Hikurangi. So an absolutely wonderful thing to do.
I would love to interject something about Gisborne in that part of New Zealand. Very dear to my heart is the movie Well Rider. I have seen it 13 times. I'm so into Maori culture. And that is really a must area if one has the time.
It's a beautiful part of New Zealand. You're right.
Now, then going north up through the Bay of Plenty, Bay of Plenty aptly named because there's plenty to do up there. And one of the key attractions, of course, is there's a volcanic island that sits right on the coast. Can you tell us a bit about that, Annie?
Well, there ain't many active volcanoes, marine volcanoes, that you can go and walk on.
Right.
So there's a number of ways to do it, whether you take a boat or take a chopper, which is the slightly high-end way to do it, but an absolutely phenomenal experience in the Bay of Plenty. You get the coastal environment, which often is laden with dolphins, so you'll see a lot of natural wildlife as you progress out to the island. And then you go on this incredible tour, and it's obviously a little smelly, and they look after you and make sure you're wearing the right equipment. But it's a really, really incredible experience for anyone to do when they come to New Zealand.
And I have done that.
You've done it yourself?
Yes, I have. I have flown over the volcano, over White Island, and I must say, what Annie says, anybody going to New Zealand needs to take the chopper and go over the volcano.
Nice. Oh, fantastic. Now, this region, as we progress north, is getting a little closer to the main city of Auckland, which Auckland population about 1 million people. When they go on vacation, they tend to kind of head down. They call it, and Kiwis call them batches, which is like a vacation home, a holiday shack. Some of these shacks are more than just shacks. But within that Bay of Plenty, going up through the Coromandel, it's where the Kiwis are on vacation. And I think a big thing about a vacation to a place like New Zealand is while we move about to have all these amazing experiences, it's nice to kind of find yourself in a beach location where you've got some great coastal activity, and at the same time you get a chance to meld in with the locals. You get a chance to meet the locals and have some fun with them. And I mean, being a local yourself, Annie, tell me your experience in that region.
Oh, the Coromandel is stunning, and as you say, super close to Auckland. So whether you're coming from the north or the south, it's a great option. But beautiful beaches, quite rich rainforest as well. And there's a couple of places that people should always visit in that area. One is Hot Water Beach. So can you imagine digging your own hot pool? So it's tidal, so you've got to check the tides. But you literally dig a hole and you lie in your own hot spa on the beach.
It's amazing. I've seen this water is actually permeating up through the actual sand, so it's filtered up. It's lovely and warm. You've got a cold ocean rolling in, sitting there, spade, a little glass of vino perhaps, Annie.
I
Does
think
that
so, a
happen?
little Hawke's Bay Chardonnay, be all right.
I'm there with you. We're going to go there now. But no, it sounds delightful, and it is a lot of fun. It's those little things getting you off the beaten path, and that's exactly what Linda's all about when it comes to creating and customising itineraries. It's seeking out those New Zealand experiences that are just off the beaten track. So it's delightful. Now, it was great having you come in.
Thank you.
It was a marvellous opportunity to kind of pick your brain and learn a bit more. I'm keen, again, just with those events, what were the dates? When is the actual Hawke's Bay, the Fork event?
Fork is the 4th to the 13th of November this year, and that's 2016, and it runs always the first Friday of November for 10 days.
And if somebody was kind of incorporating into an itinerary, you don't necessarily have to be there for the entire
Not
period, but you can just tap in, and this is what's good about a good itinerary. A good itinerary will have you experiencing all aspects of New Zealand. At the same time, just to be drawn in to a festival or an event like Fork, it's an opportunity. It's where the Kiwis are showing off. They've got their best food happening, and they've got the best wine happening. They've got the best entertainment happening. You just get a chance. And as an American, let me tell you, you've got funny accents. and we can pick them up pretty quick. So, you know, when you're down there, you'll be well looked after. One night out with the Kiwis, honestly, will be the best night of your life.
That's very true, Jeffrey,
Yeah.
very true.
Well, thanks, Annie. That was fantastic. I think, Linda, we might get Ed back in here because we're going to just have a bit of a chat. We've had an opportunity to see some amazing parts of the Central North Island, and I think we need to kind of work on some itineraries that will help build on this and perhaps
Awesome.
promote them to the market. So,
Great idea.
Awesome.
cheers, Annie. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Well, that was a great insight into what's available on the Central North Island, New Zealand. I've got to say, I mean, you know, now is a great time to head down there. With Air New Zealand, of course, leaving right from your doorstep, there's every reason that you should be organising an appointment here with Linda so that she can set up and sit you down and actually go through the itinerary. I mean, Linda's very good. I mean, Ed, we were talking before about the importance of expertise. I mean, what do you see in a person like Linda being a part of your team? How important is Linda
Well, I feel we're extremely fortunate to have Linda because her expertise, her love, her passions certainly exceed any that I've seen from anybody else in the travel industry. And to take advantage of her knowledge is so important. And that in itself is worth a visit to Travel Advisors.
You're so right, Ed. Having a Kiwi specialist in your office is definitely an asset, no question at all. And this gal is an asset for all of us. Down in New Zealand, all the hotels, the regions, we so respect the fact that Linda's up here on the forefront being a team player. Now, in New Zealand, when it comes to team sport, the All Blacks, of course, really do represent a strong team effort. And with that, with that whole team sport thing is a thing called mateship. And Linda, you are definitely a mate to New Zealand. And of course, a mate is a person who makes Aotearoa travel easy. And you do just that. Aotearoa, of course, is the Māori word for New Zealand. We've come together and put a little gift for you, a little All Blacks jersey, darling. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah.
much too. My pleasure, and this means a lot to me. Thank you.
That's all right, no worries.
Thank you.
And I got to say, guys, it's been great to kind of get the team together, and of course, we're excited about the opportunity to head down to New Zealand, and I know that you've got a little special offer at the moment of a $200 value add. Is that right?
Yes, we do, absolutely, as our thank you, and also for the $200, if you could please mention you found us on KCAT.
Jeff, I would like to thank you so much for putting all this together. And Linda, I thank you. And the other two people, I appreciate their being here and able to talk a little bit about New Zealand and the wonderful trip that it is, the safety of it, the interest in practically every venture. And just look forward to working with you.
Absolutely.
And just remember, when any of your travels, Travel Advisors is there.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, guys. I hope you enjoyed the session. Remember, going to New Zealand, it's not hard. It's right on your doorstep. And, of course, come and see Travel Advisors of Los Gatos, and they'll look after you. Cheers. Bye for now.